When I got started in this industry, I was in the software industry, but when I had small kids and walked into the childcare centers with them, there's just a massive amount of paperwork on the director's desk. And I thought, I do software for this industry. Maybe I could do software for this industry and help them. The idea was born to create a management system to help them manage their day-to-day paperwork. I became very passionate about that industry, helping directors, especially as the products, the full management suite at that time was out there, helping them with their billing and their scheduling, their attendance, knowing what the parents and kids are doing. That grew and grew. I eventually sold out and merged with one of my largest competitors, became a partner in that company. We progressed through that company until the Great Recession hit in 2008 and 9. I left that company and it was like, what do I do next? And I used CRM, lead management systems my whole life in the businesses I ran, and I did not see that being used in the childcare center area. And that's when I went out, did the 100 center survey. Only 9% of centers ever got back with me and followed up. Thus, I think there's a problem.
I was concerned about how crowded the management system market was at the time. And so I remember my one stipulation is, if Chuck wants to propose a management system, I don't know that I'm in. If he wants to propose anything else, I'm going to say yes. And so obviously, Chuck proposed kind of the concept of what became ChildcareCRM, this lead management tool specific to early childhood education. And you know what? It wasn't a management system. So I stuck with my plan. I said yes. And that's when we went off to the races developing it.
Since they were still working their business full time, we spent nights and weekends, a really long, hard time for about a year and a half. Everybody was on pen and paper. It was a learning, it was education. You had to educate them of the value of this, but the value of it was just unreal. There was no data, no information, no follow-up. The return on your investment was just off the charts, and companies immediately saw that.
We didn't really have any sort of software systems designed for the early childhood education industry that were in the marketplace other than ChildcareCRM. And I think it really sort of speaks to how much need there was for it when you think about just how basic the product was. I had set up our Google AdWords. We were a small team. We didn't really have any marketing professionals, anybody with experience setting up AdWords at the time. I didn't do that right at all. And so I set it up to target all English-speaking countries. And we got an inbound, just somebody went on the website and inquired about ChildcareCRM from Australia.
Behold, Australia. It's like 9 o'clock at night and they get this lead in and I will sell anything. So I got back to them that night, demoed them and came in the office the next day and said, hey, we got to take our software to Australia. Can we get it set up?
Yeah.
We really started to take off in 2015, 16. We were growing rapidly. We needed great management talent to take us to the next level. And one of the areas which we never really had was in finance. And so we reached out and we found Brett, who through a couple promotions later ended up being our CFO shortly thereafter. Now he's our CEO.
Yeah, so I started my career working for Fortune 100 companies, right? And joined forces with these guys. Over time, we've put together a really nice suite of products, and bringing it all together, rebranded and kind of put the product suite together as LineLeader. But when you look at what LineLeader offers, and the mobile experience, the modern feel, the modern look, making sure I can get the updates of my kids throughout the day. There's no doubt, that I get those pictures, that I have two-way communication with the teachers, that I can do check-in and check-out and all those things. I can pay my bill online, there's auto pay. I feel just really good about our position in the space. There's a lot of software that can help you run your business, right? And I always say that where we are today and what LineLeader offers, we help you grow your business.
I don't know that there's anybody that works harder than the people that work in childcare centers. I mean, it's a demanding job. the kids are going to keep you busy enough, but then there's all sorts of administrative overhead and parents and stuff like that. If you have a platform that knows the data and knows what needs to happen next, it can guide both the directors and the parents through that journey in a way that can grow your center with so much less effort than all that kind of manual outreach and things like that. There's so many parts of that process that can be digitized and then even automated in the LineLeader platform. One of our early pilot customers had, they'd implemented the system, they'd started using it for a few days, and they got an inquiry from the parents about, care or whatever. And that parent called back and they looked up their record in ChildcareCRM, and they just happened to notice that it was their child's birthday. And so they said, by the way, tell little Johnny happy birthday for me, or something like that. And that's just not information that exists in a system that's designed to be used by every industry, right? You're not going to have your children, the birthdays for the children in that family and stuff like that. That information doesn't exist. And so even really small things like that tie ChildcareCRM and how LineLeader enroll into the early childhood education industry, I think provide a lot of value.
Directors and childcare people generally are not salespeople. And so because they're not great salespeople, and that's not what they're hired for, actually, they're educators typically, after the training involved, it's like we need people that can sell, that are not afraid to sell, and we're helping customers get a great solution. And the same thing in centers. And so the concept of central enrollment teams is that you should have one person devoted to doing nothing but providing a parent experience throughout the enrollment process. I think the optimum ratio we came up with when we were doing this is one person for every 15 to 20 centers at scale.
I think the LineLeader functionality that we've added is just incredibly useful for making sure that as you scale, it doesn't become really cold and impersonal, right? And that's, I think, what I love most about the features we have.
Some of the initial enrollment team feedback, those that utilized enrollment teams were closing 30 or 40% more than those that were not using the enrollment team functionality.
We have a little bit of visibility into how the performance of our customer base across the U.S. and Australia. As a result of that, we release a benchmark report every year to provide some insights on sentiment, what people are thinking and feeling from a survey perspective, but also hard data around what's working and not working. We'll continue to do that and help the industry evolve and get better and provide as much best practices.
One of our key focuses was to provide directors and owners with information. Thus, you can't manage what you can't measure was one of our slogans at the time.
What I think is really interesting about the benchmark report is when you're a early childhood education business owner, you can read that report and you can start figuring some of that stuff out for yourself, right? You can figure out, where do I maybe have some opportunities for improvement? And where is, this is just kind of what everybody's experiencing. This is what's happening in the market right now, where a lot of times businesses will experience the same thing at the same time. And the benchmark report is just an invaluable piece of data to help you navigate your business through sort of all of that uncertainty.
It takes an average of 7 communication touches with anybody to get them engaged to purchase your product. And often what happened in childcare centers is, 1, a parent inquires. 2, you may give them a call back. That's a touch of 1 or 2. In our early benchmark reports, we found, I don't remember the exact number, but they were enrolling 30 to 40% more children if they had 7 or more contacts than if they had less than 7. Just tried to make lives better all around. And that's what makes me so passionate. I love the industry and have been in it for 3 decades now. It's exciting to see it grow and continue and flourish and get to the next level.
When we look at what the product is now, what the team is doing now, all of this stuff, it's contributions from everybody on the team. And it's something so much more than Chuck and I could have ever really even imagined, certainly never done. And we're excited. Like, it's so much fun to kind of be where we are, but it's just phenomenal to see. It's phenomenal to all that you've accomplished.
It is absolutely, you're right, Seth, because you cannot get here to here to here to here by ourselves. We would never have gone past here. Never would have happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's awesome.